Hi guys, Assalamualaikum. I'm Nadiya Najib and I'm here to talk about one of the articles which I'm sharing today. It's called Why Airbnb Makes Perfect Sense. So I'm here to talk about my experience with Airbnb and I'm giving you all the details that you need regarding it. So I'm just gonna briefly tell you what the article is about. It starts with why I started looking at Airbnb as a business option and why I started looking into business as an option because I've always worked in the corporate world and what made me think about business. Starting from that, and then what is Airbnb? A lot of people still ask the question, what is Airbnb? Although it's been here for a while, but it's a pretty new concept. So I've described exactly what it is and how many profiles you have. You can on your dashboard you have the option of either being a host or a guest. Moving forward, I'm talking about the initial apprehensions, especially with us Desi people. We're very concerned about people, whoever comes and goes into our house, right? So we're very concerned about our privacy issues, about security, and a lot of other social issues as well. So I've written down what our apprehensions were and how we tackled those, and honestly it wasn't bad at all, and we always think of the worst things that can happen, but luckily it also depends on the area that you live in. Where we were, we didn't have any such issues at all, but it's good to just go through your initial apprehensions and sort those out before you start Airbnb. Then I wrote a bit about legal matters. You have to know whether you're legally allowed to do Airbnb. You have to make sure that your rented agents allow that. Or if you have your own property, then there's no issue. You can obviously do that. And then I've talked about account setup. How can you actually set your account up, and what are the preferences? What are the options which are customizable and which options are not? It's actually really simple, and a lot of people don't know that you can make a lot of changes in your account. So it's very important to go into the account section and set your preferences as you like. And it's amazing how Airbnb account gives you complete flexibility. It lets you change so many things. Over the 6 months that I did Airbnb, I kept finding out some of the options I found at a later stage, because there are a lot of options. So I would suggest that before you started, you should definitely explore all the options. So you can rent, you can decide the room rent according to whatever you want, and you can change it every day. You can pre-book a guest, or you can manually check a guest's profile and then approve the guest. And then you can have home manual in there. Then you can have house rules, a lot of things. So settings are definitely customizable. And then choosing your guests, that's another important part. A lot of people don't really care about who comes and stays with them as long as they're being paid the money. But in our case, it was completely different. I mean, obviously, we needed the money too, but our main priority was that we needed a guest who would align with our values. We only wanted female guests because I work from home and Haris is at work all day, so we didn't want a random male stranger walking around in our home. We were okay with female guests. So we made sure that we didn't pre-approve guests on our account. So I wanted to check them manually. What I used to do is that I used to go into the profile of whoever sent an invitation to book. So I would go into their profile and make sure that they have a government ID issued in their account, and then they've got good reviews. That's another really important thing. So I've written about that. Reviews are very important in Airbnb. So you must make sure that your guests have good reviews before letting them in. I've written down some tips for you to do that, and then I've written down how we prepared for our first guest, how I wanted to be really professional with this business. It was new for me, and I wanted to just be really good at it. So I looked it up and I created this whole document of home manual. I wrote down all the rules of the house, what's acceptable, what's not, and then I also offered some extra benefits to each guest that stayed with us. Being Pakistanis, we feel like we're ambassadors of our country, so we wanted to do something extra, go the extra mile in this business. So we decided to offer all our guests a free meal with us on their traveling dates, so either on the day of departure or the day of arrival. So that was one thing that we did, and we wrote that clearly down in the home manual and all the details that you need. So I've put a copy of our home manual in there, so you can take a look in case you want to start your own Airbnb. That will be really helpful to you, as you can keep that as a guide and make yours. And then I've written about the first guest, how it was, and initially obviously we were apprehensive, and the first guest that we had became my best friend. So it's been such a good experience, living with somebody, you know that person really well. If you want to know about a person, you should travel with that person. You should either do business or be their neighbors. So in these three circumstances, you actually get to know the person. And then I've written down the Airbnb update and summary, because this article was initially written a long time back, but then I wanted to write down an update of how many guests actually stayed with us. They were 16, and from what nationalities, and like all the summary of how it went. Then I've written about money matters. How do you get paid through Airbnb? And just a second. Baby, are you? She's moving a lot. She's sleeping, so I've got this monitor with me, and I'm just keeping an eye on her. She's just stretching right now. So money matters, and then you'll find how I manage the accounts for Airbnb. It's very important to write down exactly who came, for how long, what was the room rent, and what's the amount that you earned through it. And if you have a goal like I had, then you can just make sure that you've achieved the goal. And Airbnb investment is are the things which you bought specially for this business. And obviously once you get the total earning, then you minus the investment from that. And then my thoughts on Airbnb, and finally why Airbnb makes perfect sense, and tips to make the most out of Airbnb. So it's a very important article, and I would love it if you guys check it out. And if you're interested in thinking of this as a side business, this one is made for you. And it's definitely a great business option, because it's a passive income. You don't really, you do some work on it, but it's just initial work. Once you've done it, you've set up the account, you've made the house manual, you've set up a procedure, and you've like bought all the furniture and whatever you needed for the room. There's not much that you need to do. You can add up the cleaning fee, so the guest pays for it. So all in all, it's just a great business opportunity. And if you can avail it, if you have an extra room in your house that's just lying there, it's best to earn some extra cash. Okay, guys, thank you for listening. And I've got the link of this important article in the description of this video. So do check it out and share it with all your friends and family who plan to do Airbnb and make the most out of it. It's got all the details that you'll need for this business. Take care and have a nice day.